Guys, I have this amazing word for you, and this word is well, let me put it this way. I have a good amount of words today, but the other word that I'm going to post after this is extremely amazing. This word is amazing as well, but we don't want to glorify the downfall of people who hurt us. Do you see what I'm saying? We want to see it as, we want them to turn a new leaf. We want them to get right with God. And we just want them to leave us alone. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't want them to attack us anymore. We just want to be left alone. And we just want, them to get right with God, etc. But unfortunately, there's people who have not been complying to what God has been telling them to do. Now, this morning, God brought me to Exodus. Okay? And there's a message I'm going to post relating to this as well. God brought me to Exodus. And he let me know that the Pharaoh in your life and his army, it's not looking good for them. You see, in the book of Exodus, God gave Pharaoh many chances, many warnings. Like, he sent so many messages, so many warnings, so many chances. So God gave Pharaoh more than enough time to get himself together, to get things right. But he didn't listen. God gave him more than enough time to release the Israelites, but he didn't listen. You see what I'm saying? And he was very stubborn. He thought more about himself, selfishness. And you see, God still spoke to Pharaoh. Even though Pharaoh was not a child of God, God still spoke to him. God still speaks to your enemies. God speaks to your enemies. And he tells your enemies to leave you alone, to stop attacking you, to stop coming up against you. Just like most of us have gifts to see in the spiritual realm, to hear in the spiritual realm. These people can see and hear in the spiritual realm as well. They may not be utilizing their gift for God, but they're utilizing it for the enemy. But either way, they still was warned about leaving us alone. Now, rest in peace to the Pharaoh in your life and to the army that is associated with the Pharaoh in your life. I'm not saying that we wish death on anybody. We don't wish death on nobody. Nobody. I would hope that you guys don't wish death on anybody. But we also know what happened with Pharaoh. We all saw what happened with Pharaoh, where God warned him over and over and over and over again. And because he was stubborn and did not listen, God ended up hardening Pharaoh's heart towards the Israelite and towards Moses for him to go after them. Now, the beautiful thing about this message is, because these individuals utilized their evilness, what they don't understand is that them doing the things that they did to you is what ultimately led you to your purpose and is what's leading you to your purpose. You see, when Pharaoh attacked Moses, it actually led Moses to his calling, to his purpose, right? When I was getting ready this morning and I was going over the word with God, the other word, he gave me this specific word separately. And it ties into something I heard him say the other day. So I want to let you guys know that some of you guys, the Pharaohs in your life, they're going to end up extremely sick. Extremely sick. God has warned them multiple times. And some of them, it may even be death. I'm being honest. Some of them may even be death. But I do know that I heard God say something relating to a sickness. Was it yesterday? It was the day before yesterday. He said something about a sickness. And he reminded me of that today when I was getting ready. And I was going over the word that I'm supposed to post later. And he gave me this word. And he literally reminded me of the message he gave me a couple of days ago relating to sickness. If you remember the Israelites, how they were going through so much agony, so much stress, so much torture. You see what I'm saying? Just like they were being used as slaves and they were a service to Pharaoh and Pharaoh mistreated them. Remember, back in the day, it was hard. There's a lot of agony. There's a lot of pain, especially with the slavery. They probably got whipped. They probably were starved. They probably were working nonstop with no water. Regardless, they were not treated well. They were being used as slaves and they were being mistreated. Imagine the agony that the Israelites had to go through, the pain that they had to go through, the suffering they had to go through. Just like many of you guys, you had to suffer for years. You went through pain for years. You went through agony for years. You went through tears for years. For years, you had to cry tears. And regardless of what was going on, these enemies consistently tormented you, attacked you with whatever they did to you. Because everyone's situation is different. Not everybody went through witchcraft. Some people may have gotten abused emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Some people may have been used. Some people, it was witchcraft. Some people may have, gotten poisoned. There may have been attempts to poison them. Like, a bunch of things happen to different people, right? But regardless, God has warned people to leave you alone, and they consistently continue to try to fight you, try to come up against you. So just like the Israelites were in pain and agony, many of you guys were in pain and agony as well. I'm here to let you know that God said it's coming to an end for the Pharaoh in your life and for his army. That Pharaoh going down is leading and is going to set an example to the other enemies that are up against you. Because a lot of the enemies, they have a leader. They have a ringleader. You see what I'm saying? They have a ringleader. And even if they don't know about each other, when they witness the people that are falling down for coming up against you in your life, they're going to realize and they're going to think twice before coming up against you again. So people are going to end up backing down when it comes to fighting you, because they're going to realize that God definitely has his hand on your life, because they're going to see the downfall of other people that has come up against you. Okay. For some people, it's not going to be, death or sickness. For some people, it may be the enemies that were attacking them, loss of finances, loss of business, things just falling apart in their life. And then for some people, it will be death. For some people, it will be sickness. But you're going to witness it. And the people that were with them, that were associating with them, that were plotting with them, they're going to witness this as well. Okay, this is actually a part of God's wrath. Now, the beautiful thing about this, I know that whole part is not beautiful. We don't want to wish bad on nobody. And I know you guys have been through so much. I've been through so much. Many of us have been through so much. But God always wants us to forgive. He doesn't want us to have any hardness in our heart. Because if we have hardness in our heart, we're no different from the Pharaohs in our life. That's what made them hate us in the first place. The fact that we have a good heart, the fact that we are chosen, the fact that we obey God, the fact that we are just minding our business, that alone will trigger people who are not right in their mind and who are not right in their life. Okay? Do not change who you are to stoop to anyone's level. Do not glorify the downfall of these people, because you're going to witness it. Do not glorify it. Do not jump for joy. If anything, just pray for their soul, pray for their spirit, pray for their heart. If they're still alive and God has given them another chance, pray for their heart, that they turn a new leaf over and that they change their life. For some of you guys, them coming up against you is what's going to lead some of these people to God. Them coming up, hear what I'm saying. Some of these people coming up against you is what's leading them closer to God. Because what happens is when they see that they have touched the wrong one, right? And when they are witnessing the downfall of other people, that is going to be a wake-up call for them. That is going to be a revelation for them to get their life right, to get their life together. And that is what's going to ultimately lead them to God. So at the end of the day, them coming up against you is what led them to God. That was originally part of God's plans. You see what I'm saying? Because some of them, they will get a second chance. But some of them, they had to come after you in order for them to repent, to get close to God. So you were used in their purpose without even realizing that you were actually used in their purpose. So everyone's situation is different, and there's going to be different outcomes for a lot of different people. It's not going to be the same outcome for a lot of people, but it's literally happening soon. Fall is the season. God told me, and there's another word I'm going to share with you guys, and it's beautiful. But God told me fall is the season, and we're going to witness a lot of downfall of people. Do not glorify it. Some of these people, this is their lessons, and this is what's going to teach them and help them become a better person. For some people, they didn't listen. They weren't obedient. They consistently went up against God. This was their test, and they failed. And they're going to have an outcome like Pharaoh and his army. And then for some people, they're going to go through sickness, and that's going to lead them to repentance. But that's ultimately up to God, whether they live or they don't. Okay, so I'm giving you guys the confirmation. Ultimately, I remember God telling me this was your enemy's test. Coming up against you was a test. Do you know that? God said that them coming up against you was an actual test. It was their test. Not only was it their test, but it was your test. But it was their test as well. That's why God gave them many chances, because God was testing them. God was giving them chance after chance after chance, because this was a test to determine the outcome of their life. right? This Exodus 14, verse 8 to 9. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites who are marching out boldly. Okay, God did that for a reason. Had God not allowed your enemies to come up after you, it would not have led you to where you're going to be. Everything that they have done to you is what prepared you and helped you get to the level that you're going to be at. You see what I'm saying? And every enemy that came up against you, they were being tested along the way as well. And many of them failed their test. Many of them, they will turn a new leaf. And many of them, you know, it's, hey, that's all I'm going to say. But anyways, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.